Today our lecture will be about reciprocal teaching. You remember last lecture? Last lecture was about what? Which topic? Which topic we tackled last lecture? Reflective teaching, yes. Now we'll begin our lecture entitled Reciprocal Teaching. Look at this picture. What do you think that means? Try to think. Then also look at this picture. What this can be an example for? What is the indication of this picture for you? Activity 1. Reciprocal teaching is a strategy used to teach. You can guess the answer of this question from the pictures below. Reciprocal teaching is a strategy used to teach. Which skill we will focus on while using reciprocal teaching? Now, what's reciprocal teaching? As we are accustomed to, we look at the title and try to divide it into some questions in order to answer them to cover the whole chapter. Number 1, what is it? What's reciprocal teaching, and how we can apply reciprocal teaching, and what is the importance of reciprocal teaching? All those points we will cover, God willing. Reciprocal teaching is an instructional activity. Surely we use it in instruction, we use it in teaching. Take the form of a dialogue. So what's the form of reciprocal teaching? It's a dialogue. What are the parts of this dialogue? Teachers and students, regarding segments of text for the purpose of constructing the meaning of text. Reciprocal teaching is a reading technique which is thought to promote students' reading comprehension. So the skill we'll focus on is reading comprehension. A reciprocal approach provides students with 4 specific reading strategies that are actively and consciously used to support comprehension: questioning, clarifying, summarizing, and predicting. So we have 4 main skills, 4 main strategies we'll focus on while practicing, while using, while applying reciprocal teaching. What are those strategies? Questioning, clarifying, summarizing, and predicting. We'll mention them in details next slides. Why? Why reciprocal teaching? We're accustomed to answer the question of why with the importance of this thing. So why reciprocal teaching? It's the importance of reciprocal teaching. Look at this picture. Why reciprocal teaching? Try to think. Here from this picture we can elicit that it can be used in active learning. All of us hear about active learning. Active learning is a strategy that domain the education now, as cooperative learning, as working in groups, different strategies we can put under active learning. So reciprocal teaching is one of the strategies that can help us in active learning. Okay, what else? What else? Supporting comprehension. Supporting comprehension. So all students, while using reciprocal teaching, can comprehend well. Also, some kind of metacognitive strategies. Metacognitive strategies, those are strategies that are very super. So we can gain those strategies through using reciprocal teaching. Also, we may say reciprocal teaching can help students solve problems, can help students develop his own or her own abilities in different aspects in his life. Okay, try to think of different other purposes, different other objectives of reciprocal teaching. I'll help you, giving you some hints in order to help you just to think of more. Try to create more and more. If you think you will create tens of purposes. Number one, facilitate a group effort between teacher and students, as well as among students in the task of bringing meaning to the text. Here, the teacher, students among themselves, through using those strategies of reciprocal teaching, can understand the text well, can understand what the author wants us to know from the context before us. Number two, develop creative learners. Surely, here I'm discover the meaning myself. I can help my colleague, my friend, my classmates in order to know the meaning of the context. So here, developing creative learners is one of the functions, one of the purposes of reciprocal teaching. What else? Develop skills like problem solving, analysis. Here, as I mentioned before, there are some skills that can be developed through using reciprocal teaching, like problem solving, like analysis, like critical thinking. Help teachers bridge the gap for students who demonstrated a discrepancy between decoding skills and comprehension skills. We'll speak about what's the difference between decoding skills and comprehension skills. Try to think of the difference now, and I'll give you a clarification for this part. Reciprocal teaching process gives the students the chance to learn more by having the teachers as role models. Here's the teacher just role models. The reciprocal teaching gives the beginners in an academic field a chance to learn from the experts by taking turns leading the class. Also, it's very inspiring. It inspires learning. You are motivated all times. Develop metacognitive strategies, as I mentioned before. Activity 2. What is the difference between decoding and comprehension and reading skill? Try to think. Activity 3. Look at your book, page 19. Decide on the components of reciprocal teaching. What are the components of reciprocal teaching? Activity 4. Proficient readers use specific comprehension strategies in their reading tasks, while poor readers do not. Again, proficient readers use specific comprehension strategies in their reading tasks, while poor readers don't. What do you think? Activity 5. Look at your book, page 20, and decide if the following statement is right or wrong. All readers, no matter how skilled, occasionally reach cognitive failure when reading texts that are challenging, unfamiliar, or inconsiderate, structured, or written in an unusual manner. 6. Look at page 20 in your book to find the answers to the following questions. What are the reasons for comprehension failure for readers? Is there a difference in the creation of both proficient and poor readers for comprehension failure? How? Reciprocal reading strategies. We have 4 reciprocal reading strategies: predicting, questioning, clarifying, and summarizing. So here we have 4 roles of students in a group: predictor, clarifier, questioner, and reteller. When I predict, I do what? I guess, I estimate, I assume, I infer, I speculate, I suspect, I believe, I forecast, I project. So there are some questions you will think while predicting. What are they? What do you think will happen? What clues tell you what will happen? What will the author do or tell you next? What clues from the passage help you remember what has happened? So while predicting, I can use expressions like I think, I'll bet, I wonder if, I imagine, I suppose, I predict. So the definition of prediction is: prediction phase involves readers in actively combining their own background knowledge with what they have gathered from the text. With a narrative text, students imagine what might happen next. But if I have informational text, students predict what they might learn or read about in subsequent passages. After prediction, there is questioning. Here in questioning, I may have questions like who, what, where, when, why, how, what if, what does the author mean, what are the characteristics of, would you agree that, would it be better if, I wonder how, which is better, what do you think? All those questions. Yes, questioning. When using the questioning strategies, readers monitor and assess their own understanding of the text by asking themselves questions. So they are analyzing. Okay, the self-awareness of one's own internal thought process is termed metacognition. Here, as I mentioned before, metacognition is a super strategy that can be developed through using reciprocal teaching. Because while using this strategy, the reader here monitor and assess their understanding of the text by asking himself questions. Questioning involves identification of information, themes, and ideas that are central and important enough to warrant further. Questioning provides a context for exploring the text more deeply. Here, analyzing, we think deeply, and assuring the construction of meaning. The questioner will pose questions about the selection, unclear parts, puzzling information, connections to other concepts already learned. Then clarifying. So we tackle predicting, sorry, we tackle predicting, then we tackle questioning. The third strategy is clarifying. Tips for clarifying. Point out confusing ideas related to the content of the reading. Point out confusing parts. Okay, identify words that are difficult for or difficult for the reader. Clarifying involves identification and clarification of unclear, difficult, or unfamiliar aspects of a text. These aspects may include awkward sentence or passage structure, unfamiliar vocabulary, unclear references, obscure concepts. Activity 7. Open your book, page 22, to find out an answer to the following question. How can the clarifier perform his duty? After finishing clarification, then summarizing. Tell the most important parts of the story. Use somebody wanted but so, then, so it is summarizing. Summarizing, we make conclusion. We do this to help us remember the story. Summarizing is the process of identifying the important information, themes, and ideas within a text, integrating this into a clear and concise statement that communicates the essential meaning of the text. Summarizing also may be based on a single paragraph, a section of a text, or an entire passage itself. I summarize, I do what? I sum up, I conclude, I judge, I determine, I review, I decide, I I organize, I surmise. Okay. Summarizing questions statements. Tell me about what you just read. What's the most important part of the story? What sentences sum up the meaning of the entire passage? What clues from the passage helped you organize your thinking? Instructional format. What is the instructional format? It's a dialogue, as we mentioned before. It's a dialogic process. Why? It's a language format with which children are familiar, opposed to writing, which may be too difficult for some struggling readers. So here, dialogue is easier than writing. So while using dialogue, you can develop different skills as we mentioned. So it's easier. Dialogue provides a useful vehicle for alternating control between teacher and students in a systematic and purposeful manner. Merits of reciprocal teaching. The teaching focuses on how to learn rather than what to learn. How to learn. We have different strategies that can develop your own skills. Learning of the cognitive strategies occurs within real reading comprehension tasks rather than having each strategy taught in isolation. Learning takes place in an order rather than learning everything separately. There is a logical sequence here. Students learn as apprentices within a cooperative learning group that is working together on a task. The students are learning through themselves and through the others in their groups. So try to remember, we have here how many strategies we have. We have 4 strategies under reciprocal teaching. We have predicting, we have questioning, we have clarifying, and summarizing. So we have 4 roles of students in a group. We have predictor, we have clarifier, we have questioner, we have reteller. Reteller is the summarizer. Okay, that's all for today. Thanks for listening. Wait for the next lecture. God willing. Goodbye.